Hi guys, hello, welcome to today's video. I recently got a comment from one of you guys mentioning Ollie's, which is like a big discount store, but they have a pretty big book section. And specifically the comment mentioned how it was very similar to Book Outlet, which I recently hauled a bunch of books from. So I thought I would check it out. I think it'd be fun to find a puzzle book that has like a bunch of different puzzles in it and not just like one of the same thing. There's this. It's got a bunch of different stuff and it's only $3. Ooh. And this one. I think I'm gonna look at regular books first, but we're definitely gonna leave with a puzzle book. We did not grab a puzzle book. I'm gonna be honest, I completely lost my mind in this store because the prices are so inexpensive, way cheaper than I thought they were going to be. Literally the average book that I saw was $3 to $4, and they're new books. They're not even like, I mean, I'm sure there's some old ones in there as well, but a lot of the ones that I ended up getting have been published within the last couple of years. And there was even a few that I grabbed that have been sitting on my Amazon wish list for a while now. So yeah, lost my mind. I grabbed so many things. This place has like a dangerous amount of books. This is what I've grabbed so far, and we're only halfway through the aisle. Oh, these two. So, we're about to do some damage. This is a book from a series that I put on my Christmas list. Hi guys, it's been a couple of days since our little bookstore trip and I got so many books. I was not expecting to find this many and I'm honestly kind of blown away, especially because I spent like $50 on all of these books. Like if I had gone to Barnes, $50 would have gotten me like 2 to 3 books depending on like what I got. I don't even know how many we have. I did end up going to 2 different locations because the first store I literally ended up finding the majority of the books that I ended up getting. So I got really excited and we ended up actually driving an hour and a half to another location and I found nothing. That store in particular I probably won't go to again, but our first store, that is definitely going to be added to the rotation, especially because it's only down the street from the normal Barnes that I go to. So I am already so excited for the next bookstore trip. Anyway, enough jabbering. Without further ado, let's dive into these books because we have literally so many to get through. Our first book that we have is Too Beautiful to Break by Tessa Bailey. I've never read a Tessa Bailey book before, and I feel like she's a pretty popular author, so I thought I would give this book a shot, especially because it was only $3.99. $3 to $4 was like the average price for all of these books. What? And I actually don't know what this book is about. I don't really know what any of these books are about, to be honest. There's like a couple that I've kind of had my eye on that I grabbed, but like the majority of them are just books. A lot of them I've never even seen before. So that's another fun thing about going to like somewhere like Ollie's or whatever. You're just kind of like stuck with what you get. And sometimes it's gonna be stuff that you wouldn't really think that you would normally get, if that makes sense. The top of this one has a quote that says, "Can the forced proximity of one wild road trip bring 2 childhood friends back together?" I love a forced proximity situation and childhood friends to lovers sounds like a good time. So very excited about this. Also too, I'm just really excited to try a Tessa Bailey book. I feel like I've been on YouTube, how long? Almost 2 years, and I have yet to read something from her, which is kind of crazy. Next book I have is Finding Yvonne by Brandy Colbert. Yvonne has had her trusted violin to keep her company for years, especially in those lonely days after her mom walked out on her family. But with graduation just around the corner, Yvonne is forced to face the cold, hard truth. She might not be good enough to be accepted into a music conservatory after high school. Full of doubt and increasingly frustrated by her strained relationship with her father, Yvonne meets a street musician who understands her struggle. He's mysterious, charming, and different from Warren, the familiar and reliable boy who's had her heart for the last 2 years. But when Yvonne gets an unexpected surprise that could change her life forever, she has to make the hardest decision yet. Ooh. Okay, so that sounds like there might be a little bit of a love triangle, but also it sounds like she's gonna have to make maybe a decision between love and like other things, which is interesting, but it definitely does give a little bit of like a bittersweet kind of vibe, and that is typically not something I enjoy, but we'll see how it goes. Next up we have Spoiler Alert by Olivia something. I can't see the full last name because there's price stickers on it, but this one is obviously a romance as well. And then it also has, like, this guy's wearing like a knight's uniform. So I'm wondering if this is like a medieval. Oh, Olivia Dade. The last name is on the back of the book as well. Ooh, okay. So this one, very briefly, is basically about a famous actor, but apparently he also runs like a fan fiction forum or something like that that has to do with the show, unbeknownst to like the show or anyone else. So that's the male character, and then our female character does cosplay, and she basically cosplayed one of the characters or something like that, and then he reaches out to her to go on a date for like publicity's sake, and then they find out some secrets about each other. So very interesting. I don't typically love books about like celebrities, but this one sounds really fun and different, so I'm excited for it. Also, by the way, I'm not grabbing these in any particular order. I'm just kind of bouncing back and forth between the bags. The next one that we have is Poisoned by Jennifer Donnelly, and I was super excited to find this one, especially again for $4, because this was actually on my Amazon wish list. It's been sitting on my list forever. This one I think is like a fairy tale retelling. It says, once upon a time, a girl named Sophie rode into the forest with the queen's huntsman. Her lips were the color of ripe cherries, her skin as soft as new fallen snow. Her hair is dark as midnight. I'm guessing from that description, this is a Snow White retelling, which obviously also too from the apple. Duh. When they stopped to rest, the huntsman pulled out his knife and took Sophie's heart. It shouldn't have come as a surprise. Sophie had heard the rumors, the whispers. They said she was too kind and foolish to rule, a waste of a princess, a disaster of a future queen. Good grief. And Sophie believed them. She believed everything she's heard about herself, the poisonous words people use to keep girls like Sophie from becoming too powerful or too strong. With the help of 7 mysterious strangers, Sophie manages to survive. But when she realizes the brutal queen might not be to blame, there's a typo, it says no be, not be to blame for the attack, Sophie must find the courage to face a more terrifying enemy, proving that even the darkest magic can't extinguish the fire burning inside every girl, and that kindness is the ultimate form of strength. Aw, so this sounds like it's gonna be like fairy tale retelling slash like girl empowerment kind of vibe. The back of the book says, break the enchanted mirror, crush the poisoned apple, seize your own happily ever after. Next up we have another book that I've kind of had my eye on. It's by V.E. Schwab. This is Gallant, and basically this one caught my eye because it won a Goodreads award a couple of years ago, I think, like 2-3 years ago. And so I've kind of always had my eye on it, especially because I have been wanting to read more from V.E. Schwab after I read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I have yet to do that, but maybe I will now with this book. I have absolutely no idea what this book is about, but it does have pictures on the end papers, but also in the book as well. We have that. And then also just like these pages, which look like maybe notes or something. There's all kinds of pictures in this. I mean, this little grouping, there's literally a picture on every page, which is kind of crazy. Love an illustration in a book. So let's see what this one is about. Okay, the illustrations are making sense. It's part of the story. Last year I read Hidden Pictures, and I really enjoyed that book specifically because it's about a little kid that likes to draw, and his drawings kind of like drastically get more and more advanced, and they get really like dark and things like that. But what I thought was really cool was that the book actually had all the illustrations in it, and it had tons of illustrations like throughout the entire book. So that was something that I thought was really fun, and this seems like it's gonna have a similar vibe. It says, all her life, Olivia Pryor has wondered who she truly is and where she belongs. Her only clue is a slim, battered journal, her mother's journal, full of entries that seem to show that she was unraveling, and drawings that look like blots of ink. Until Olivia notices a hand, a door, a bloom, a skull, which might be the collection of ones that I literally just went through. Then a letter beckons Olivia home, to Gallant, the one place her mother's journal warns her never to go. And there's more to that synopsis, but I kind of want to stop there because I'm super intrigued by that. I think this is the one I'm most excited for so far. Like, that sounds so good. Next up we have 4 Days of You and Me by Miranda Kennelly, something like that. This one has a super cute cover. Ooh, okay. I can't express to you how feral I was while we were in Ollie's. I literally just saw the price tags and grabbed anything that looked even remotely interesting. So I didn't really like get a good look at any of these books. So all these things that I'm getting excited for, didn't see them before. But this one has some dates at the top, and they're all the same date, May 7th. So I'm wondering if this one's gonna have like a Groundhog Day kind of vibe, which I love. Spoke too soon. It says, every May 7th, the students at Coffee County High School take a class trip. So it's not a Groundhog's Day. It's just something that happens apparently on the same day every year, which also is a vibe that I like too. Every year, Lulu's relationship with Alex gets a little more complicated. Freshman year, they went from sworn enemies to more than friends after a close encounter in an escape room. It's been hard for Lulu to quit Alex ever since. Through breakups, makeups, and dating other people, each year's class trip brings the pair back together and forces them to confront their undeniable connection. From the Science Museum to an amusement park, from New York to London, Lulu learns one thing is for sure: love is the biggest trip of all. They went on a class trip to London? Okay, one thing I do like, the chapter titles right here have like the trips, I think, like the ones that I just said, because like that one is obviously London, and then we have one for New York. So we're gonna be like kind of going through the trips with them, which I really like the concept of. That reminds me of People We Meet on Vacation. Loved that book. Next up we have The Midnight Lie, and this is one that looks super cool. I literally grabbed this one because the cover looks neat. Where Nera lives, crime abounds, a harsh tribunal rules, and society pleasures are reserved for the high kith. Life in the ward is grim and punishing. People of her low status are forbidden from sampling sweets or wearing colors. You either follow the rules or pay a tithe and suffer the consequences. Niram keeps her head down in a dangerous secret close to her heart, but then she encounters Sid, a rakish traveler from far away who whispers rumors of the high kith possessing magic. And then basically it talks about Sid getting Niram to try to get the magic for herself or something like that. And then at the bottom it says it's an epic LGBTQ romantic fantasy, which was also one of the selling points for this because I don't think I've ever read a fantasy romance that's LGBTQ. Next up I have another one that's been on my radar for quite some time, and that is Foul Lady Fortune by Chloe Gong. You guys, again, the prices. This was only $3, and I think this actually might be a second book in a series. I could be wrong. I'm gonna have to look that up before I read it. And that being said, I'm not gonna like talk about what this is about, just in case it is the second book in a series. I don't wanna like spoil anything for myself. But Chloe Gong is another pretty popular author that I don't think I've ever read anything from. And this series, and I think another one, These Violent Delights, is another one that's kind of been on my radar. So I had to snatch this up when I saw it. Next up we have The Keeper of Night by Kylie Lee Baker. And the cover of this one is so cool. This one, literally, I ended up grabbing this one because of the first part of the first sentence. That was literally all it took. It says, half British Reaper. Sold. I love anything to do with like the underworld, reapers, death in human form or whatever, like anything like that, immediately it's a yes for me. Ren has been collecting souls in the London streets for centuries, expected to obey the harsh hierarchy of the reapers, who despise her due to her mysterious mother and even more mysterious Shinigami powers. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. Ren conceals her emotions and avoids her torments as best she can. When her failure to control her developing Shinigami abilities drives Ren out of London, she flees to Japan in search of the acceptance she's never gotten from her fellow reapers. Accompanied by her younger brother, the only being on earth to care for her, Ren enters Yomi, the Japanese underworld, to serve the goddess of death, only to learn that here, too, she must prove herself worthy. Determined to earn respect, Ren accepts an impossible task: find and eliminate 3 dangerous yokai demons. With help from only her brother and a new ally who might be less than trustworthy, Ren will learn how far she'll go to claim her place at death's side. At the top it does say she's half British Reaper and then half Japanese Shinigami, something like that, which I'm guessing from that is also kind of like a Reaper, so she's just all around in the world of death, and I'm very excited for that. Next up we have The Counselors by Jessica Goodman, and I feel like this was a really popular book last summer, if I remember correctly, or at least I saw it a lot, I feel like. This one from the cover you can tell is a thriller, murder mystery kind of vibe, because we have like a bathing suit with blood all over it. So this one is about Goldie, who is a camp counselor at like a fancy rich people summer camp, and then it also mentions that Goldie has a terrible dark secret she's keeping. When a teen turns up dead in the lake late one night, she knows that the death couldn't have been an accident. And then it says that her friend Ava was at the lake that same night. Does she know anything? Did she do it? We'll find out. Next up I have a book that I literally was dying over in the store because this is another one that's been on my wish list for like 2 years, especially because I read another book, I think it's called Yoke, by this same author early last year or late the year before that, I don't really remember. And that book did have some like heavier topics, which again, typically I don't like to read. I don't want to read a sad book, but the author wrote it in a way where it was really digestible for me. It was really easy for me to read, and I really enjoyed reading it. So I wanted to get more from that author, and this is one of the books that I saved on my list. Permanent Record by Mary H.K. Choi. She's also the best-selling author of Emergency Contact, which I think is another one that I have on my list. But this one I'm like extra excited for because the cover and like the desk jacket are so cool. So it actually has kind of like this plasticky film with its own image on it. Here's what the hardcover looks like by itself, and then you put like the film over it. This one says, on paper, college dropout Pablo doesn't have a whole lot going for him. His graveyard shift at a 24-hour deli in Brooklyn is a struggle. Plus, he's up to his eyeballs in credit card debt. Never mind the state of his student loans. Pop juggernaut Leanne Smart has enough social media followers to populate whole continents, and her adult life is a queasy blur of private planes, hotel rooms, and strangers screaming for her just to notice them. When Leanne and Pablo meet at 5 a.m. at the bodega in the dead of winter, it's absurd to think they'd be a thing. But as they discover who they are, who they want to be, and how to defy the expectations of everyone else, Lee and Pab turn to each other, which of course is when things get properly complicated. Oh, this sounds so cute. Next up, we have one that I'm really terrified is going to be super sad, but I picked it up anyway because it was $4, so I figured, why not give it a shot? This one is Someone Else's Bucket List by Amy T. Matthews. It's about two sisters. One of them is shy, the other one is very adventurous, but then that sister gets leukemia, so the shy sister takes on her bucket list. Again, I feel like this is gonna make me sob like a baby, but I'm kind of in that phase of life where I feel like I've lived a pretty boring life and I kind of want to be more adventurous. So I'm hoping that reading about someone like myself doing some adventurous things might like push me along to also do some adventurous things. I don't know. We're down to our last two books. Second to last, we have Small Game by Blair Braverman, and this is another one where I've never heard of the author, never seen this book before, but it sounds really, really good. This one says, a gripping debut novel about a survival reality show gone wrong that leaves a group of strangers stranded in the northern wilds. That was literally all I needed to read in the store for me to grab this one because I'm obsessed with reality TV. If I'm not watching YouTube, I'm watching reality TV. Then also coupling that with people that are like trying to survive. That's another thing that I love reading about. Like Hatchet was one of my favorite books as a kid. I read a book a few months ago that has kind of like a similar vibe to Hatchet, but like more adult version. So good. I think I'm really, really gonna love this and I'm very excited about it. I probably won't read it for a while because I think that seems more of like a summer read, but I'm excited. And now last but certainly not least, we have another book that I have had my eyes on for the longest time. Honestly, probably since I've had this channel. It's one of the first books that kind of like grabbed my attention because of the cover, but also I never got it because I feel like it is one of those like bittersweet kind of sad books. So I've kind of like held off, but it was like the first book I saw at Ollie's, and this one actually is the most expensive book that I found. It's $5. For $5, again, how can you say no? This one is They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. The cover of this book, especially it being hardcover, it's kind of got like a metallic-y sheen to it, which is really pretty. But also the title of this has just always drawn my attention. On September 5th, a little after midnight, Deathcast calls Mateo and Rufus to give them some bad news. They're going to die today. Mateo and Rufus are total strangers, but for different reasons. They're both looking to make a new friend on their end day. The good news, there's an app for that. It's called Last Friend. And through it, Rufus and Mateo are about to meet up for one last great adventure, to live a lifetime in a single day. This is definitely gonna make me cry. Anyway, those are all of the books. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 freaking books. And again, I think I ended up spending like a total of $50, $55, something like that. I cannot scream it from the rooftops louder. If you have an Ollie's near you, check it out. Anyway, that is everything that I have for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you have/have had the most amazing of days, and I will hopefully see you in my next one. Bye.